behind the widow's son. Only a handful of figures in Masonic history can compare to Hiram in terms of their significance. Masonic documents and teachings allude to him as the widow's son, and he is also referred to as such. When it comes to Masonic mysteries, the narrative of the widowed son is one of the most complicated in Freemasonry's long history. To summarize, who or what is Hiram? When it comes to Masonic doctrines, where does he fit in? This film focuses on Hiram's role in Freemasonry and the significance of his life in the history of the fraternity. Who is Hiram? Although not a religion in and of itself, Freemasonry draws much of its mythological foundation from the teachings of the Bible, particularly the events preceding and following the construction of King Solomon's Temple in Jerusalem. In this context, Hiram is a name that is well known in Masonic circles. Hiram is the man who founded the secret fraternity of Freemasonry. He is mentioned in Masonic lodges all around the world in teachings and rites, and his history is fascinating. We believe Hiram was the primary architect, or at the very least one of the leading masons hired by King Solomon to build his majestic temple in Jerusalem. Hiram was later slain by 3 inferior stonemasons for refusing to share the secrets of his superb building, according to Masonic lore. This is an important source of information because much of the Masonic imagery and allegory utilized in plays and lodge teachings today pertains to symbolism based on this same mythology. There are multiple references to Hiram in the Bible. In reality, Hiram is mentioned 3 times in the Old Testament, each time in relation to the construction of King Solomon's Temple in Jerusalem. The most pertinent reference to Hiram as far as Freemasonry is concerned can be found in 1 Kings 7. We are told, King Solomon sent to Tyre and brought Hiram, whose mother was a widow from the tribe of the Naphtali and whose father was from Tyre and a skilled craftsman in bronze. Hiram was filled with wisdom, with understanding, and with knowledge to do all kinds of bronze work. He came to King Solomon and did all the work assigned to him. 1 Kings 7, 13-14. The widow's son. It is thought that Hiram became known as the widow's son as a direct result of this chapter in the Bible. When we look up the widow's son in the Bible, we find that it pertains to a woman named Ruth. According to this interpretation, the widow's kid is a true ancestor of Jesus, Solomon, David, and even Enoch and Adam. Hiram was known as the widow's son. Ruth was a Moabite woman who was married to a guy named Boaz. She was the great-grandmother of King David, according to the Bible, and she was somewhat of a hero in the Old Testament. This was crucial because King David was the father of King Solomon, who constructed the magnificent temple in Jerusalem. Ruth is known as the widow since her husband, Boaz, died the night after their first child was born. From that point forward, all Ruth's offspring were simply referred to as sons of the widow. Ruth's ancestors are Og, David, Solomon, and Nathan, according to her genealogy. Furthermore, according to the Christian Bible, Jesus is a descendant of Ruth, despite the fact that 45 generations between Ruth and Jesus. However, while tracing this ancestry, it is unclear where the connection to Hiram is formed. This presents a problem to Masons seeking proof of his presence. So, does Hiram's status as the widow's son have any bearing on biblical genealogy? To be honest, it's impossible to answer because Freemasonry doesn't give us with such extensive genealogical analysis. What we can learn from this line of ancestry is that it holds symbolic significance for Masons. Hiram's role becomes much more significant as a descendant of Jesus, and might be interpreted as God guiding his lost children back into the fold. Such symbolism connects with the Masonic virtue of enlightenment and merits more investigation and scrutiny. Solomon's need to hire Hiram. Much may be made about Solomon's desire to engage Hiram to finish the construction of his temple in Jerusalem. He didn't recruit Hiram at random or out of desperation. Solomon, a descendant of Seth, was not up to the tough ask of laboring to create an impressive temple for himself, despite his literary artistry. A descendant of Cain's skill set was required, and Hiram suited the bill well. Hiram was not just the original widow's son's descendant, but also a widow's son himself. This dualism inside humans is supposed to persist to this day. The descendants of Seth are represented within the church, while Cain's fiery sons ignite the outside world with their intellectual curiosity and intuition. Freemasonry clearly stands on the hot side of this dualism, with most of the symbolism deriving from craftsmen, builders, and philosophers. So how is the story of the widow's son presented within Freemasonry? It's difficult to trace one's ancestors through the Bible, and it's difficult to know what to believe about Hiram existence. Given what we know about him, it's unlikely that we'll ever know for certain if Adam, Jesus, and Hiram were related. However, the Bible's characters are linked, and their historical significance cannot be overstated. The same may be said of Hiram, who continues to play an important role in the Masonic saga. The narrative of Hiram is spiritually significant in Freemasonry. Masons follow in Hiram's footsteps, and the journey through Freemasonry is supposed to mirror Hiram's life path. In the end, every Mason wishes to be a widow's son or a descendant of Ruth. The symbolism of Hiram's life and his construction of King Solomon's temple is used to teach the fundamental truths of Freemasonry. There is no archaeological proof of its existence, despite the fact that it was built in Jerusalem about the 10th century. Having said that, most theological and historical academics agree that it existed, and there are several references to it in various portions of the Bible. Solomon's temple has become a symbol for Masons all around the world for developing the individual into a better person and an engaged and values-driven member of society. The materials used to construct the temple are thought to represent the knowledge a Mason acquires throughout their lives. So, in this regard, Hiram is comparable to the founding father of Freemasonry. He utilizes equipment and expertise to build King Solomon's beautiful temple. The vast majority of Masonic teachings today derive their meaning from this experience. So, when we think about the widow's son, we should recognize that we are dealing with the story of Hiram and his construction of King Solomon's temple. As discussed in this article, there is a case can be made for many biblical characters to be referred to as the widow's son, as the genealogical pedigree revealed makes for an intriguing study. The narrative of the widow's son, as discussed in this movie, has its origins in the Old Testament of the Bible. Because of the focus placed on the account of King Solomon's temple's building within Freemasonry, we understand the widow's son to explicitly relate to Hiram, the temple's chief architect. With Ruth's descendants spanning 45 generations or more, a compelling case can be made for many other major biblical personalities to be referred to as the widow's son. I would argue that it is not within Freemasonry's purview to get caught down in the genealogy discussion over their concept of the widow's son. Instead, we should focus on comprehending the tale of Hiram life and the critical contribution he made to the temple's building, as well as the preservation of his craft secrets. I hope that you enjoyed watching this video. Thank you very much for watching. I hope that you enjoy the content. If you have any questions, please ask in the comments section below. Please subscribe and share your thoughts.